Come in. You are visiting with Vintage to Chic, and I am Judy Mullins. Okay. Today I'm going to show you a project I've had a lot of requests for, and that's just how to crackle. I'm going to use Pentart's two-step fine line crackle varnish and the medium that's 2 steps with it, and I'm going to show you today just how to crackle. I've already got this little project. This is a cheap little tray, probably came from the Dollar Tree, I'm not sure, or a yard sale or somewhere. But I decoupaged a print on the inside of it. I put it and I painted it pink on the edges because we're using pink roses here. And what I'm going to crackle is the middle. Now before I start to do the crackle, I have put 1 coat of varnish on my piece. And I use this is chromium, C-H-R-O-M-A, Chromia Josania satin varnish. You can use satin or gloss or whatever. This is a water-based varnish, so I have used this as 1 coat. You want to seal that design before you start doing the crackle. You want to put some sealer on it, and that is my sealer. This is one that I finished today, this egg, and you can see how beautiful it crackled, how pretty it is. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do, what this is around the egg here. This is a glass egg, came from Hobby Lobby, and this is a stand that I made. My son makes my wood things. This is a stand that I made to put it on, okay? And today I'm just going to show you how to crackle. This is going to be a real quick little project, okay? Now I've got 2-step varnish here, and it is labeled Step 1, Component 1, and Component 2. So the thing is that you have to dry it. Between each process, you have to dry it. So we'll have to use the dryer. And that takes a little bit of time to get it. That's why I'm doing a small piece. Takes a little bit of time to get it dried before you put the 2-step on it, the 2nd step, and then you got to dry that before you put the waxes on. So this just looks like white school glue, which makes it real easy to put on. So I'm going to set it down here, and I've just got a clean flat brush I'm going to be putting my varnish on with, putting this crackle on with. And you can see where you're putting it, and you want to be sure that you cover every bit of it. So I'm going to paint on the inside of this, just where the flowers is at. And I'm going to put a coat of varnish in here. The more crackle, the more of the component, the more you put in here. I'll get that out and get it right in a minute. The bigger your cracks are going to be. Okay, if you want your cracks to be big, then you want this Step 1 to be thick. Okay, just pay attention to where you're going so that you see where you have been, so that you be sure and get everything covered. I'm going straight down. Doesn't matter how you put it on, just so you get everything covered. There's a little bit of a learning curve to learning varnish, learning to use this 2-step crackle. So I would practice on something that you don't care if you ruin, because I did ruin some pieces when I first started. I did mess up some pieces big time, and I just threw them in the garbage. So the best thing to do is buy you some dollar store trays or something you've already got, something that if you destroy, you won't care. Okay. I'm just going to make sure that I get this all over my tray. When I'm doing the crackle, I usually do 3 or 4 pieces at a time and I like to let mine sit and dry on their own. I don't like to sit and have to dry them. That's just a waste of my time. So usually I'll put the crackle medium on the last thing of the project of the day, and I will set them aside and then finish them the next morning. Or I'll put it, if I'm working, I've got one over here right now that's drying. I'll work on number of items. I never work on one thing at a time unless I'm doing a video. I always work assembly line style, and it doesn't have to be the same thing in the line. I might be working on 3 or 4 projects all at one time, and I just work back and forth between them, because it's a waste of time if you just sit and work on one thing, especially when you're doing it to make money. You're doing it for sale in your shop or at craft shows. I have done both. I have an Etsy shop, which is Vintage to Chic, where you will find my finished products, things that I make for sale. I have a teaching group on Facebook, which is all my business is Vintage to Chic. So my Facebook group is Vintage to Chic. I teach on there. And I have a Facebook page where I sell my, have a subscription page where you can get designs. Most of the things I do, I create my own self. Some things I purchase, but most of it I've created on my own. I like to do that about as well as I like to paint. Okay, now I've got a thick, you can probably see that. See, you can see the white, how white that is on there. I'm just going to wipe my brush, and I can clean that one in the water. So I'm going to put it up there in the water, put the lid on this stuff so I'll be sure that I don't spill it. And you got your drying time now. It's going to take 3 or 4 minutes, especially even on this small piece. And I've got it kind of thick on there. So I'm going to kind of look at my clock to see what I've got. And you don't want to touch that. You don't want to put your fingers in it, because wherever you put your finger, you're going to mess up some of the glue stuff on there, and it's not going to come out properly. So I'm going to turn my dryer on. You'll have to excuse the noise. Okay. Well, okay, I want to tell you something. Hold your dryer away from your piece. Don't get right down on it and do it this way. Hold it up a little bit and keep it moving. Don't stay in one spot very long. Okay, I've been about 3 minutes, and this heats up your tray. This tray's hot now because it's metal. So I'm going to check it a little bit here. And it feels pretty dry. I'm going to do it just another few seconds. Okay, now I'm going to have to let that piece cool for a couple of minutes. Like I said, it makes your tray hot. Well, it's cooling down real quick. Okay, it makes your piece hot if you're doing on metal. So you want to be sure it cools down. And then you can see, I can touch it now and see that it's dry. Now I'm ready for step number 2. Now number 2 is not water-based. And you cannot get any water, anything wet around it. Okay, when you use it, it's not a water base, excuse me, and you want to keep it, use a clean soft brush to put it on with, because you don't want to go in, if you go in that varnish with a wet brush, one you've just cleaned, then you're going to have problems with it. So be sure you use a clean soft brush when you put this one on. And this brush is brand new, and I'm going to trim it just a little bit. It is an angle brush, which won't matter. That's a rose brush, but I'm going to use it anyway. And this is number 2. Okay, you can see what it looks like here. It just looks like, it kind of looks like glue too, but it's clear glue. And it will go on clear. And again, you don't want to touch it. Once you put it on there, you don't want to put your fingers in it, because you will remove that from your piece, and then when you do your crackle, you won't see that piece. Okay, so I'm going to go right back in here, and I'm going to take this next step. Got to get some strips of stuff I got out of there. I'm going to turn my tray up this way so I can see a little bit. Make my eyes, keep my focus where I can see where I'm going and where I've been, because you want to make sure every bit of it's covered. When we dry this piece, you will see the cracks come in. You won't be able to see them online until I've put the waxes on them. But you can watch it crack as you are drying the second part. And if you're in a hurry doing something, you can set and dry it just like I'm doing this one. But like I said, I work production line style, and I like to be doing a number of things. I don't want to sit and dry something. I've worked the Gatlinburg Craftsman's Fair for over 35 years. If you're a fan of Gatlinburg, Tennessee, I live in that area, and they have 2 great craft shows there. One is in July, runs 10 days in July, and the other one runs 18 days in October. And I'm going to be in the October show. I won't be in the July show, but I will have a space in the October show. I'm just going in there, and don't go back over when you're doing this. Don't go back over spots. Try to get it as you go. Keep your stuff going. It's all right to hit a little bit, but you don't want to go back over that 2 or 3 times to get this medium on there. Like I said, you need to practice this some. You need to play with it a little bit. You can find a 2-step. I like TH Decor. Online, you can find it. They have a thdecor.com. She sells all the Pentart products and stuff, which is good. Or you can find it on Etsy. I'm not sure, but I think you could probably find it on Amazon too. I'll put some links in here for you. Okay, now I've got that one on, and I'm just going to wipe that brush. Wipe it off a little bit and get that over there. Put it in my water up here. And I'm going to go back in now, and I'm going to dry this, which will take about the same amount of time to dry this one as I did the first one. I can see the cracks coming in as I'm going. Okay, let me see what I've got here. Again, my tray is hot. When I tilt it to the side now, I can see the cracks. I can see the cracks in there. So I am going to try to touch it a little bit now and hope that it's dry. Just got to be real careful. I think we've got it. Okay, I got to let it cool now. Got to let it cool down. Put my dryer up over here. Give it just a couple of minutes to cool down. I'm working on some bottles here too. I've got the first step. See, I've done this one and I've got the first step on this one. I'm ready for the second step, but that's where I've just let it set and dry on its own. Okay. Now let's see where we're at here. I think I'm okay to go. Okay. Now I'm going to use antique paste. You can use, this also is Pentart. And it is called antique paste, and I think the color is umber. This is a dark color. I don't see a color on it. Yeah, it is umber. But now you can use any kind of waxes, any kind of paste waxes. This one over here, I've got some, I've got that on it, and then I used a darker color. I think I used a gold. I can't remember exactly what paste. But you can use the Finnabar. You can use the Finnabar waxes. You can use anything you want in the wax line. I've got different brands. I've got some, these come from Dixie Belle. I've got Dixie Belle varnishes. Waxes. I've got some Bear that comes from like Home Depot. So you can use any of those. Now me, I like to use a rag. I like to use just a little rag on my finger. Instead of putting it on just with my finger, it gets all over your hands. Or some people, sometimes I wear rubber gloves. But this one, I'm just going to do it. I've got a soft piece of a t-shirt here that I use for this. And I'm just going to take my wax. Now you'll be able to see when you put your wax on, that's when your cracks appear. When you'll be able to see them. Right now, if you finished it like it is, right now there's there's cracks on there. But you've got to put this on to pull them out of the piece, okay? So I'm going to put a little bit of this on my thing, and I'm going to blot it a little bit over here on my towel. I don't want to go in with it great big dark. Okay, now when you're doing this, you want to be sure that you have a clean rag to wipe that with. You don't want to go in with anything that's wet. Never grab a wet wipe and go in with this, because if you go in there wet, you're going to gum it up and it's destroyed on you. So put it on and then take your towel and rub it a little bit and rub it in, and you just keep putting it on and rubbing it until you achieve the look that you want. Okay. Some people like it real dark. Some people don't. I may mix some colors and use some different colors in there. This is pink around the edges. And if you get too much on there, you can pick up a little bit of the clear. You can keep your clear wax out. The one that I have here is Dixie Belle. When you use your clear wax, it will take off some. So I'm going around that. See, I'm just putting that all over my paper there. You don't see any cracks until you do this step. And this step has to have an oil-based varnish put on it afterwards. You cannot use a water-based varnish over top of this because it will just gum up on you. So you got to use an oil base, and I usually use spray. I use the Rust-Oleum's 2-in-1 spray varnish is what I like to use. But now Pentart also has a varnish that you can purchase, which is this is Pentart's gloss varnish, solvent based. You want to make sure your varnish is solvent based. No water can go on this. So I made the mistake when I done my first one of grabbing a wet wipe to wipe off my waxes with. And of course it just gums up on you when you do that. I'm going to put a trim around that edge, so I don't care if that gets a little tad on my pink. But you can see now the cracks are all coming out there. And it will continue to crack the rest of the day. When you leave it set, you go back later and look at it, it will have cracked a little bit more. It'll continue to crack on you. It cannot crack up, but it'll continue to crack. Okay. Now maybe you can see where I've got the cracks in there. I hope you can see that. It'll show in the picture, but see where you can see the cracks? See the cracks up here? Do that. Now I'm going to go back in with another color of varnish, and I think I'll use a little bit of gold on it. You can use the powders, you can use the waxes, or you can use the powders. I'm going to switch my towel a little bit here to a clean piece. And this is pigment powder. This one happens to be Jacquard. They have pigment powders, and all the companies have them. I've got some that's different brands here. Here's one that's a perfect pigment. This one I've just got, you can get any kind, and these are metals. See this one? This is a metal paste. Let's see what this, and I think this is what I put on that other one. No, this is a powder, and it's bronze, and this one happens to be Pentart. This is Pentart pigment powder, and it's called metal, and it is exactly what I say. It's a powder. See, it's a powder finish, and I can go right back in with that powder and do the same thing, and it'll just make those cracks a whole lot more distinct on there. Now I feel like right there in one spot, I'm not happy with what that looks like. So I'm going to go right back in with a little bit of clear wax. And I'm going to go right back over this spot right here and take some of that out. See, that'll bring that clear wax, will bring that darker wax right up. So you just got to work back and forth, play with it until you get the color that you like. And then you're ready to put your varnish on it. Everybody likes the, different styles in the crackle, so you do what pleases you. You can put as many colors in there or work on it just as long as you want the cracks to pop out there. You can just keep going with it. You can add, keep adding colors until you achieve a one that you like. And I think that's about it for me. Now I'm going to take my clean towel on the other end and just kind of buff it a little bit. Go in there and buff it. Okay. Now I'm I'm going to put me some beading around the edge of this tray so because I can varnish right over top of my beads. This kind I'm going to use. And like I said, I use the spray varnish. I'll take it outside and spray it. But if you use this Pentart's glossy varnish, you can get this. Like I said, it's solvent based. And you can get that, then you would just brush a coat on that. But you can't clean your brushes in water when you use a solvent based varnish. Remember that. Your brushes have to be cleaned in mineral spirits or something else in the, in that line. Let me see where I've got my beading here. Where got my sheets of beads. I should have got them out before I started. And I'm not seeing them. Okay. Let me see what I got down here in the drawer. I like the pearls. Let's go with these. Let's go with these. I've got more of these than I have the pearls left. So let's go with this one. Now here they are. Right down in the bottom of the barrel. These are sheets of pearls that I purchased from Hobby Lobby in the studio and over in the scrapbook stuff. And these happen to be, I love these because they're stick-on. And you can just peel them. You can cut them off and just peel them right off and put them on your piece. And they already have the sticky on them, and they hold really, really good. So I'm just going to cut off this first strip of pearls here off of this paper. Okay. And I'm going to go right in here and work my way right around this tray. This will be the finished piece. These stick real good. I love them. They come in all different colors, and you know, you can get them in iridescent. You can get them, these just happen to be pearls. They're half pearls, but you just put them in your tray and push them down. See that? I just put them in the bottom and push them down, and they're self-sticking. I'm going to work my way right on around the tray. The color I used on this, I painted it first with a pink. I painted it first with a shade of, this is Folk Arts, well, I thought I used that. I think it was Wild Rose, Folk Arts. Yeah, I put a coat of Folk Arts Wild Rose on there, on my tray first. Then I went back over it with a coat of Rose Shimmer in the metallic, and that covered it over. Anytime you use metallics, you need a color put on there underneath that metallic, or you need to mix that metallic with something. Over here on my palette, I have mixed a metallic with blue to get a real dark navy blue, and I've mixed another metallic with a purple to get me a lavender shade. Ooh, I got lucky. I got that one all the way across. When I put my varnish on, I'll spray right over top of these. You can even resin over top of them if you like. Now, I'm one too many there on the end, so I'm going to pull it up and take one off. Cut one off right on the end. Okay, I got a little space right down here that I need to cover. And I'm going to cut this one to fit my space. Okay, I need to cut it right there. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and do the other. I want this to be a pretty quick video, so this gives you the idea of exactly all that I'm doing, okay? I will just go ahead and put the beads. That shows you the pearls that's in there. So you see how I'm doing. I'm going to put them around here, all the way around, and then I'm going to varnish it. You know, I will spray varnish it, and it's done. So I hope you've learned something. I hope you'll subscribe and come back and visit me. And if you have any questions, just shoot me a question and I'll be happy to answer for you.